I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, but there's a lesser known one called The Old Man and His Grandson. It's about this old man whose hands shook with the tremors of age, who had to move in with his son and his daughter-in-law and his grandson, and he would make a mess at dinner every night because his hands just shook. And after a while, his daughter-in-law just felt like he was such a nuisance and such a burden and such a mess all the time. And day after day after day, she complained to her husband and eventually convinced this man's son that he was a burden as well. And finally, she got sick of him spilling all over the table every night at dinner. And so they moved him and they made him eat in the corner by the stove all by himself so that he wouldn't make such a mess at the table. And he sat there for weeks kind of confused and not knowing what he was doing and just eating on his own. And then one day he dropped the nice bowl that he ate out of. And again, they got furious and annoyed, and they gave him just this old wooden bowl, and they made him eat out of a wooden bowl. And a few weeks later, the mom walked in and she found her son whittling this piece of wood, and she said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm making a trough for you and Daddy so that when I grow up and you get old, I can feed you out of it." And it was just this gut-wrenching moment where this woman and her husband looked at the old man and realized that they had missed the whole point and a whole lot of the beauty of having him live with them. And they had communicated to the next generation that he was a nuisance instead of a blessing. And they just stopped and remembered how much he had given to equip them to be who they were. And they just invited him back to the table. And it changed the trajectory of their lives to see the way their dishonor of this old man and their annoyance at some of his frailty had communicated to their son that it was okay to dishonor them as well, and that people and relationships weren't important. And it's a really fascinating fairy tale for us as we think about honoring our own parents. I mean, this has always been true throughout the history of the world, in every single society that ever existed. The honor of parents, honor of those who've gone before is significant. It matters because it's in that relationship to our parents that we learn what self-sacrifice looks like, that we learn to respect authority, that we learn to really respect the humanity of another human. And if you destroy honor in the family, you destroy honor in the society. And a society that destroys the family destroys itself every single time. And that's kind of the underlying principle behind the fifth commandment, where God looks at us and says, hey, honor your father and mother that it may go well with you and you may enjoy long life on the earth. Honor your father and mother. And that word for honor we talked about Sunday is this Hebrew word kavod. It means heavy. Like, make heavy the relationship you have with your parents, because it's significant and it matters. And that idea of making it heavy means bending our time and our will and our affection toward honoring our parents. And I'm not going to belabor the point, but I think for us, we can do that even when it's difficult because it's what Jesus did for us. We can do it even when it's difficult because it's what this whole beautiful relationship of self-sacrifice God created us for looks like. And on Sunday, I challenged you all to use the barf method this week. And I'm going to challenge you again. Barf on your mothers and fathers this week because I think it matters. I think it matters for us. It makes our lives better. It matters significantly for them, but it also matters for the next generation. We teach the next generation how to treat humans as human, how to respect the humanity of other people, and how to live in this self-sacrificial relationship where we leverage ourselves to bless the people around us. And so, barf. B is for bless. Find a way to bless your parents, even if you don't want to, especially if you don't want to. I'm going to talk louder because I'm not stopping just because a stupid train came by while we're making this video. B is for barf, or B is for bless. A is for acknowledge. We live in a society where it's easy and popular and comfortable to acknowledge what our parents got wrong and how that messed us up. And that's an okay thing to do. That's even an important thing to do sometimes. But I think it's also important for us to acknowledge what they got right, to sit back and look in the mirror and see the parts of us that are a reflection of them and acknowledge the blessing they were to our lives. I hate trains. I gotta find my place in my brain somewhere now. R. The R in barf is for rejoice. Just be thankful. I said it on Sunday, I'll say it again. Unexpressed gratitude expresses ingratitude. And so find something to be thankful for and express that gratitude to your parents, and F is for forgive. I think that's really hard, especially for those of us who had difficult childhoods, for those of us who did not get what we deserved in the parenthood department, for those of us who have strained relationships, if we have relationships at all. But we can do it even if they don't deserve it, because it's what Jesus did for us. And we can do it even if they aren't sorry. It looks different, but we can still forgive. Forgiveness just means releasing the bitterness that we have, releasing any ill will toward them out of love for Jesus and respect for the fact that that's what he did for us. And I promise, if you can actually get to the point where you forgive your parents for big things, small things, release any sort of bitterness that's poisoning the well inside your own soul and get rid of that, life will go better and your soul will be set free. And so I just want to challenge you, bless, acknowledge, rejoice, forgive, barf on your parents this week. It matters. It makes a difference. It makes the world a better place.